Yes, I'm welcoming Kamal Garg. Hi, sir. Namaste.
Hello, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nishan.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, Nishant, you
So,
can go ahead.
yes. So, we are truly privileged and honored to welcome CA Kamal Garg to our webinar today. Thank you, sir, for joining us and for graciously agreeing to this session. Now, Kamalji is a highly estimated figure and needs no introduction to the chartered accountancy fraternity. He is renowned for his expertise in the areas of tax, audit and assurance, corporate law. He is an academic authority whose insights are invaluable to the community. Kamalji is also a prominent figure on LinkedIn with thousands of followers who rely on the timely updates and valuable information relevant to chartered accountants. So we are delighted to have him here to delve into the critical topic of peer review readiness. Today, Kamalji will be posing insightful questions about how peer review processes can be enhanced and facilitated. In response, we have Shri Sivaprasad Annavarpu Garu, CA CMA LLB data scientist, who is the founder of Any Audit. He'll demonstrate the capabilities of the platform. Now, Sivaprasad Annavarpu Garu is having over 22 years of professional experience and deep understanding of the technology which led him to design and develop Any Audit. During this session, we will showcase how the community can prepare in achieving peer review, NFRA or QRB readiness, and how technology can play a major role in this process. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Now, I now hand over to Shiva sir and Kamal sir to take us through this enlightening session on review readiness. And Kamal sir, would you like to give any opening remarks on the peer review process? Shiva sir, you are on mute.
Okay. So welcome, sir.
Welcome,
Thanks a
sir.
lot for accepting our invitation. So all of us, the participants and us, are eager to have your remarks on that. So as circulated in the agenda, you will be moderating the session, sir, with the questions as introduced in Nishant, and it is into three parts. The first part is the subject introduction of peer review, the applicability, the provisions under what it was made applicable and to whom it is applicable, the consequences, the do's and don'ts of that, the readiness of that, the existing practices. So after that, we will have an conversational session where you can take us through each of the requirements, and I will be presenting on the readiness. Then last 15 minutes, we will open up for the question answer session, sir. So that is how the agenda had been circulated. So with this, we request you to kindly take us through the important requirements, applicability, and other provisions around the peer review. And the value add, as of now, I think still it is as a statutory requirement. The value add the peer review can give to the firms. So we eagerly look forward to hear you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Siva, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nishanji, for the warming words. And good morning to all of the listeners. So, Siva, sir has given me a good opportunity to pester him by my questions, and I believe we would be having the value addition with his answers. So, before I share my screen and discuss the topic in a length, let me ask you one very small thing. Is peer review applicable in our daily life also? Let us forget about the statutory requirements. Is peer review there in our daily life also? Answer is yes. So let us understand the mindset or the theme of peer review. Just try to recollect your school days. So when you were studying in school, generally it happens a new teacher is inducted. So when a new teacher comes in, a senior teacher will sit at the back and will monitor how the teacher is teaching. Now the senior teacher as well as the incumbent teacher, both are peers. So one peer is reviewing the performance of other peer. So what we need to understand, in my experience, what I observed, in fact, most of the practice units are of the view that when peer reviewer comes to the office, it's a kind of a superior authority. Please understand, peer review is not a superior authority concept. We cannot say, and we should not say rather, that it is a hearing by superior authority. Peer means that it's your friend. Obviously, that friend is coming with the shovel of regulatory incumbency. And for that very reason, why he is coming to check and evaluate the quality of services you're rendering. When I say quality, it includes documentation also, it includes compliances also. Now, where the heat is being felt? The heat is being felt because our auditors are having all the workings. I emphasize the word all the workings in their mind, and only 25% to 30% of that all on paper. So what happens? The workings which are in your mind are documented by your soul, but are not documented by your audit working paper file. And that's way what happens, the qualified peer review report comes up or deficiency memo is being built up. Most of your firms may be having the implications of audit quality maturity model also. And in that very sense, the documentation plays a very vital role, which is lagging in most of the practice unit cases. As far as applicability of peer review is concerned, we'll discuss in a while about applicability of peer review process. One more important part is if peer review becomes applicable upon a practice unit. So please understand very carefully, if peer review becomes applicable upon a practice unit, it is not that only statutory audit files will be evaluated. I repeat, please come out of this misconception that if peer review is applicable, then only statutory audit files will be evaluated. In fact, if peer review becomes applicable, not only statutory audit files will be evaluated, but other assurance services file will be evaluated. When I say other assurance services, it will include tax audits also, GST audits also, certifications also, internal audits also. I have seen chartered accountants who are into practice, they are of the view that internal audit services are not open for peer review. I'm sorry, they are open for peer review process because the peer review guidelines 2022 edition very categorically states assurance services includes even internal audit services. So before we discuss applicability of peer review on various practice units, we need to understand that once peer review becomes applicable upon you, one, we need to understand not only statutory audit services are open for evaluation, but tax audit services, GST audit services, concurrent audit services, certification services, they are also open for evaluation. Number one, the story is not yet over. For the purpose of evaluation, even the way your article assistants are getting trained, that is also open for evaluation. So if in your firm, say, let us say there are 5 articles or 10 article assistants, the way you are training them, that is also open for evaluation. So training programs for the staff, the way you are conducting your CPE programs, they're also open for evaluation. So peer review is not only about assurance per se, it extends beyond because the word is quality. And we have one standard, SQC1, Standard and Quality Control 1. That is a very big standard. I don't know whether you are having or not, but Siva sir, in my experience, what I found, majority audit firms are not having quality control manual. And that quality control manual, if is absent, is also a case of qualified peer review report. Now you may say as a practice unit that our firm adheres to good quality policies. But if these quality policies are only in our brain, but are not on the paper and are not communicated to my staff, then it will be a problem. I repeat, I use the word staff. Now the question arises, when we say that quality control policies must be communicated to staff, what is the meaning of staff? That meaning is given by SQC1. How many of you firms are taking annual independence declaration from your staff? If the answer is no, then it is a case of qualified peer review report. If you are the auditor of a company under Companies Act, and you're also the tax auditor of the same company, and you are not having a board resolution for your approval as a tax auditor, it's a case of qualified peer review report. It had been a customary practice that if you're appointed as the statutory auditor of a company, generally the company as well as the auditor, they presume that they will do the tax audit. Generally, the director of finance or a CFO will give you a letter, please carry out our tax audit also. That letter is not sufficient. And if this letter is there, but board resolution for your appointment as tax auditor is not there, it will lead to a qualified peer review report. Because by virtue of section 144 of Companies Act, if you're carrying out the tax audit of the company of which you are also the tax auditor, you have to have a board resolution. So these kind of aspects are being evaluated by the peer reviewer when he comes to your office, or maybe offsite he can review the same. So this is the opening scenario, and let me discuss with you the applicability of peer review. So if you go to the history of peer review, it started in year 2002, whereby by virtue of listing agreement, it was made incumbent upon the listed companies that only those audit firms can be appointed as statutory auditors who are holding valid peer review certificate. Now, it started in 2002, then things kept on evolving. And as on date, we have 4 phases. How many phases? 4 phases. 4 phases of peer review applicability. I'm sharing my screen. Siva sir, please
Yes.
confirm me once the screen is visible so that I can discuss the 4
Sure,
phases
sure.
of peer review.
Sure, sir. Sure, please.
I believe the screen is visible, Siva sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. It is visible. Visible, sir.
Okay. So what happened? These things kept on evolving since 2002. Now, as on date, when we come to the peer review mandate, the peer review mandate was rolled out in 4 phases with effect from 11th April 2022. Again, after 11th April 2022, the things kept on evolving. Now, what is the present day situation? The present day situation is peer review process will be applicable in 4 phases. And phase number 1 is category of firms. Number 1, practice units which propose to undertake statutory audit of enterprises whose equity or debt securities are listed in India or abroad as defined under SEBI LODR. So for them, the peer review was made applicable from 1st April 22 onwards. So it is for those entities which are having the listed status. Now what we need to understand, the words are listed status in India or abroad. So there could be a private company also. If a private company is there and it is listed in, say, Singapore, in such a case, that private company will be subjected to an audit by you as a statutory auditor, and you as a statutory auditor will be subjected to peer review because the private company is listed abroad. Now, phase number 2 is for those practice units which propose to undertake statutory audit of unlisted public companies having paid up capital of more than equal to rupees 500 crores or annual turnover of more than equal to rupees 1000 crores or aggregate outstanding loans, debentures, deposits of more than equal to rupees 500 crores as on 31st March of the immediately preceding financial year. So what is the prerequisite here? For the practice units falling into this very category, there is a prerequisite of having peer review certificate. And for them, it became initially applicable from 1st April 23. Now the dates kept on differing, and as on date, this is the 1st July 2024 as the cutoff date. So if you are a practice unit and you're having a client, and this client is having this threshold being met, in such a case, you will be able to carry out the statutory audit only if you have a valid peer review certificate. So originally the date was 1st April 23, which is now extended to 1st July 2024. I would like to draw the attention of all the listeners over here to the NAFRA rules. If you refer Rule 3 of NAFRA Rules 2018, Rule 3 of NAFRA Rules 2018 states that the provisions about NAFRA are applicable to those companies which are unlisted public companies and are having paid up capital of more than equal to rupees 500 crores, annual turnover of more than equal to rupees 1000 crores, or aggregate outstanding loans, debentures, or deposits of more than equal to rupees 500 crores. What I'm trying to convey, and this is something important, that if a company is unlisted public company and is falling into any of these visible thresholds on the screen, then that company auditor is not only covered by peer review mandate, but is also covered by NAFRA rules. So this phase 2nd category is quite an important category for a reason that on this category, NAFRA rules are also applicable. Now there is the other thing. If a practice unit is rendering attestation services and is having 5 or more partners, then irrespective of what your clients are into, are they into this threshold or not, the peer review is mandatorily applicable upon them. So I re-emphasize either your client is falling into this threshold category, or if you are doing any kind of attestation service, but your firm is having 5 or more partners, then peer review is applicable on your firm as well from the date of 1st July 2024. And for these practice units, again, there is a prerequisite of having peer review certificate before accepting any statutory audit. Now comes phase number 3. Phase number 3 is meant for those practice units which propose to undertake the statutory audit of entities which have raised funds from public or banks or financial institutions of over 50 crores during the period under review. Now, please be very careful. The words used are entities which have raised funds from public, banks, or financial institutions, and the amount given is 50 crores. Now, what we need to understand, say that there is a company ABC Private Limited, and ABC Private Limited has bank overdraft of say rupees 30 crores, and there is a loan taken from any NBFC, and say the amount is 25 crores. So 30 crores plus 25 crores will make it 55 crores, and hence this practice unit needs to expose itself to peer review process. Why? Because the enterprise of which the practice unit is the auditor is going beyond the threshold of the raised funds, that is over 50 crores. And for this, the date originally was 1st April 24, which is now extended to 1st January 2025. The other segment of phase 3 is practice units which propose to undertake statutory audit of any body corporate, including trusts, which are covered under public interest entity. Now, what is public interest entity? For this purpose, you have to refer to Code of Ethics. Now, if you are going to undertake the statutory audit of any body corporate or trust, and they're classified as public interest entity as per the Code of Ethics, then peer review is mandatory upon you with effect from 1st January 2025. The third segment of phase 3 is if you're a practice unit and you're rendering attestation services and you're having 4 or more partners. So 5 or more were covered in phase 2nd. 4 or more are covered in phase number 3. In that very case, it is a prerequisite that you must have peer review certificate before accepting any statutory audit. Now comes phase number 4. Now phase 4 is applicable to those practice units which propose to undertake audits of branches of public sector banks. I emphasize the words are audits of branches of public sector banks. For these practice units, again, there's a prerequisite that you must have a peer review certificate. Or the other segment of phase 4 is you are a practice unit and you are rendering attestation services and you are having 3 or more partners. In such a case, again, for this kind of practice unit, peer review certificate is mandatory, and this will be mandated from 1st April 2025. So if you see these 4 phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, majority PUs will be covered over here. When I say PU is practice unit. Now, question arises whether a proprietorship firm of a chartered accountant, can also be covered under mandatory applicability of peer review process. Answer is yes. So if you're a proprietorship firm and say you are undertaking the audit of branches of any public sector bank, or you are undertaking the statutory audit of an entity which has raised public funds from banks or public or financial institutions over and above rupees 50 crores and so on. In such a case, what will happen? Even a proprietorship firm will be subjected to peer review. Now, when you are subjected to peer review, what the peer reviewer will check? The peer reviewer will check as to whether the technical, ethical, and professional standards are complied by the practice unit or not. I repeat, the peer reviewer will check as to whether technical, ethical, and professional standards are complied with or adhered by the practice unit or not. Now, what is the meaning of technical, ethical, and professional standards? The expression technical, ethical, and professional standards encompass this list: financial reporting framework, applicable accounting standards. When I say applicable accounting standards, it could be Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2006 or Companies Indian Accounting Standard Rules 2020, Companies Indian Accounting Standard Rules 2015, or Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2021, or Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2006 as amended. Why I am saying 2006? Because there can be some belated audits also. Why? Because Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2021 started only from 1st April 21. So there can be some belated audits also, and they will be subjected to this kind of peer review then. Then if you are the auditor of a non-corporate entity and your firm goes into peer review process mandatorily, so peer reviewer will pick up one file of, or maybe two files of, depending upon the sample size, of a non-corporate audit as well. So if it will be a non-corporate audit, then even the accounting standards issued by ICAI for non-corporate entities will also be examined. Then is guidance note, then is engagement and quality control standards, of which the most important standard is standard and quality control. Then is SIA. SIA stands for Standards on Internal Audit. Then is other pronouncements of ICAI, including audit quality maturity model. Then the regulatory framework. When I say regulatory framework, it could be taking the example of Schedule 3. Then the Code of Ethics. And when I say Code of Ethics, it means the Code of Ethics revised. Like, for example, in the revised Code of Ethics, there is a requirement that if you are having fees of more than 20% from a particular client, or 40% from a particular client, depending upon the nature of client, then you have to inform the same to Ethical Standards Board. So the peer reviewer will check whether you have informed the Ethical Standards Board or not about this concentration of client factor. If I give you a bird's eye view of what I discussed, so the peer review process originally was introduced in March 2002. Now things kept on evolving, and after evaluation, what is the objective as on date? The objective of peer review process is to ensure compliance by practice unit of, number one, various technical, professional, and ethical standards issued by ICAI. Number second, various quality control policies in respect of assurance services or engagements, training programs for staff, and number third, whether the practice unit is having in place proper system of documentation. This is something important. Documentation thereof, that is assurance engagement reports. When I went for peer review in recent past, I found that CA firms are lagging this system of proper documentation. And I believe this lagging happens because the CA firms are not having a kind of facilitation tool to help them. I believe in this very scenario of so much, cumbersome things required, and maybe you can say audits are also getting cumbersome nowadays. I believe we must take use of technology. And for that very factor, I would request now Siva sir to share his wisdom as to how technology can help in all this scenario. So I'm stopping my screen share and I pass on the discussion dais to Siva sir, and he may enlighten each one of us about how the technology can help us in this peer review process.
Yeah.
Siva sir, all to this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. That was a very crisp and very clear run through of the peer review requirements. So there were a lot of complacencies that peer review is not applicable to us. So even for a proprietary concern, as you have rightly said, if they are engaged in the are going to be engaged in the statutory branch audit, it is applicable. So it was very enlightening session, sir. Thanks a lot for that, and hope all the members are enriched by that. Yeah, on the technology part, definitely. The requirements are increasing day by day, and the consequence of non-compliance is also increasing day by day. Unless we are assisted by technology, our time will be lost, the professional time will be lost in the day-to-day or the not so value-adding jobs. So coming to technology, there are multiple aspects of technology. In fact, technology is not one single name. So there are data analytics, there are anomaly detections, there are office management issues, there are documentation systems. So therefore, when it comes to technology, we cannot, or maybe we expect that if there is a technology, it will be doing everything. And now the new buzzword of technology is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So whenever we hear of technology today, we believe or we expect something to be of artificial intelligence, not necessarily the case. So therefore, there are multiple aspects of technology, and any audit, of course, I had mentored that firm and entity. Any audit is an end-to-end ERP kind of a software for auditors. Why I said ERP kind of a software is there are enterprise-wide solutions for accounting entities or accounting function, but not for audit function. Audit function is seriously a combination of multiple functions, maybe 15 to 16, if we could number, to bring all of them into one umbrella and to make an enterprise-wide kind of a solution for auditors is the need of the hour. And that is exactly what any audit does. And one of the modules is quality control module. We haven't called it as peer review module. It is a quality control module, which includes, of course, the peer review, the QRB, NEFRA, or any other sort of even the self-review by the firm, by the quality. There could be very bigger firms where there is a quality division within the firm itself. And they want to have a quality review of the firm individually on their own, irrespective of any statutory function. So any audit helps on these kind of things. Now we are our discussion is more specific to the quality control module, not to the audit execution documentation, which we have covered in others or will be covering in other sessions. So here today our session is more focused on the quality control aspect of the firm. Okay, and Kamal Garg, we request you to moderate this session and also pose certain intricate and tricky questions. So which will be as a mouthpiece of the profession as a community, what they expect. So to the extent possible, whatever is available, we say that it is available and demonstrate. Whatever is not, we take your insights on that. So that is the very purpose of that. And at the end of the session, if something is not covered, which will not be the case, I believe, with Kamal Garg on the other side of the table. So if anything is not covered, I'll give a overall brief at the end of that. So I request you to lead the session, sir, with the lead questions, which I will take to answer.
Sir, first of all, let me give a disclaimer. Don't take my questions to your heart. Some questions may be tough also, so please excuse me for those tough questions.
Sure.
So first question I would like to ask you is whether this tool of yours, any audit, will help only the practice units or even the reviewer. So is it meant for both the sides or only one side?
Yeah. Yeah, great, sir. In fact, it will help on both the sides. Let me, for that, I have to explain a little bit about how this audit automation tool, any audit will work. So I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, hope my screen is visible.
Visible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So this anyaudit.in is this is more specifically for the auditors. So therefore, what happens is this is designed for the practicing unit. That was the first answer. Now, this is more like an administrative screen. Once we select an assignment to work on any one of the assignments. So in these particular assignments, there are multiple modules like planning module, analytics module, preparation of the financial statements module, internal control testing, all of that, heat maps and risk assessments, audit execution, creation of the findings and escalation, reporting and documentation. So this was a modular structure. So the first one is with this, what happens is that every function of the auditor, right from planning to the final sign off of the audit, and not necessarily audit, it could be our name of the firm is a theme of our firm, any audit. So it could be any sort of an assurance function or certification function or the like. So it put things in a methodology. So the first help that is helping to the auditee or the auditor or the reviewee is that their function of performance, their function of undertaking the execution of the assignment is organized. So the incidental advantage that comes to the peer reviewer is it will be very easy for him to review. It will be very easy for him to go through the working papers. Like for example, I take one assignment 315. How is the engagement planned? So if I click on engagement planner, so the whole engagement plan as per SA 200, 210, 230. So agreeing on the terms of the engagement and all will be visible in one go. So therefore, you can see the engagement planner on the screen. And this is engagement planner. Now on this, if you want to take the documentation of any one of the steps, there is a download PDF button against each of the steps. So the download, it will be very easy for us to present to the peer reviewer. Now stepping into the shoes of the peer reviewer as such. Now, if peer reviewer is taking the license and peer reviewer is subscribing to any audit, then each of the peer review assignments he take up could be one of the assignments, and he can collect the data, he can sample, he can verify. So peer reviewer as a license holder, he can perform his peer review assignments better. And on the side of the practicing unit, when they put up their documentation and when they execute along the any audit, it will be very easy for them to handle the peer review assignments and to present the documentation in one go to the peer reviewer. So in a one word, it helps both the parties, sir. It helps both the parties. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Okay. So Siva sir, can you please demonstrate how peer reviewer can access the documentation and working papers?
Okay, fine.
So if I'm a peer reviewer, how I can access the documentation?
Okay, fine, sir. So for that, I'm going a little deeper into explaining the platform. Now, the structure of this is like every job that we enter in any audit.in will be called as an assignment. And for each of the assignments, there is a team, and only the team members will be able to access. So if the peer reviewer has to be given access, it is up to the audit firm, the practice unit, to let the peer reviewer enter the assignment. Like I'll take one of the assignments and to demonstrate. So once I enter into an assignment, there is a team and settings. In the team and settings, there are engagement partners, review partners, managers, and all. So in the review partner status, the audit firm has to allow the peer reviewer, then only the peer reviewer will have an access. So that is point number one. Okay. Once the peer reviewer is given access by the audit firm to the select assignments or to all the assignments as per the choice of the audit firm, then as a reviewer, the peer reviewer can access any of the documents. So let us take one of the assignments. Yeah, just a moment, please. Yeah, I'm audible, right, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So I'm taking one of the assignments. So once the peer reviewer is given an access, he can see how the engagement has been planned. Now coming to the engagement. Nishant, I'm getting echo. Can you switch it off? So this is how the engagement has been planned. And for each of the steps, who are the teams, and the peer reviewer can take a document of any one of these steps for his record and verification. Let us say, as an example, how the materiality has been defined could be one of the questions of the peer reviewer. So he can simply select for materiality. So, and this is a determination of materiality that the peer reviewer can take as a part of the as a document. He can download it, and that PDF will be available for the peer reviewer as a documentation for him. So if he clicks on determination of audit materiality, that gets downloaded as a document. So now the peer reviewer, these are the working papers of some chartered accountant firm. Now he can see the working paper references and how the materiality has been defined. So similarly, for every one of the steps in the planner, be it the going concern assumption, be it the application of the audit standard, be it SA 560 subsequent events, be it the SA 570 going concern. So every one of the documents will be made available or will be accessible in one go. Now, apart from that, this could be a little cumbersome to run through each of the assignments. There are certain specific and very powerful functions which will help the quality control. So for that, let me go to the report section. So there is one very powerful module by name report section, which we can also call it as MIS section. So there is one report module. So in this report module, there is a search documentation utility and search UDN utility. So this search documentation utility is a feature where the whole of the office can be searched for documentation. Of course, this is not open. The firm, the quality in charge or the technology partner of the firm will have a right to allow or deny the access, assuming the access is available. Now I can search through the documentation of the entire office. Like for example, I can select what is the kind of a document that I require. Like I am taking a customized report and independence confirmation of each of the assignments that are there. So now if I search through, so I'll get independence confirmation obtained in all the assignments that are handled by the firm. Okay. Similarly, if I have to search through the no objection certificates that are obtained, if I have to obtain all the MRLs that are obtained by the PU, practicing unit, it will be very handy. And by clicking on this, I can also download a copy of that. I mean, the peer reviewer can take a copy of that, or the quality control partner can take a copy of that. And he can also access the assignment if the permission is given. Now we can see some parts the assignment is accessible, some parts the assignment is not accessible. Okay, so this way I can run through without going into each of the assignments. I can take one of the requirements, like my requirement could be management representation, for example. So I can select the category as report, and I can select management representation of accounting on accounting policies, or MRL. So all the MRLs that are obtained in all the statutory audits are applicable or accessible in one go. Okay, so this way to handle the peer review will become very easy both for the reviewer and the reviewee. The reviewee can also take a stock of things on his own. And as we said, it is not peer review alone as such. It is a quality control module. That is how we designed it in any audit. So in the QC module, the firm can have an ongoing check whether we are going on a proper requirements of the peer review. Yes, sir. Hope I answered the question. So unmute, sir. Unmute. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Siva, sir, for answering. And I have a big question to be asked now. And
Yeah.
I find as a reviewer, this is one of the big problem with generally small and medium firms are facing. The question is whether your tool will be helpful in drafting of quality control manual.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So there is, in fact, as I said, there is a complete office quality control module as such. So the purpose of this quality control module is to assist on that. So it is there as a part of office. So when we go into the office, there is a QC module. You can see it on the screen. So in the QC module, that is a very comprehensive module. In fact, in the QC module, what we can do is we can draft the policies that are to be followed by the firm. So which will become the overall QC manual of the firm. And we can also maintain the versions of the quality control as and when there was a change in the policy. And for each of the policies, how the policy had been adhered. So we can also have a verification mechanism. So the audit firm can have a verification mechanism of ensuring the quality. So you asked for how to draft a quality control manual. I'm going one step forward. It is not stopping with drafting the quality control manual as such, but also ensuring that the same had been applied. Now we can see this is a quality control framework of the firm. It was divided into multiple chapters: human resource, engagement, performance, acceptance, ethical requirements. This is where the code of conduct and all will come. IT environment and adaptation, monitoring, leadership responsibilities for quality control. So these are multiple divisions within a firm. Of course, what I am showing is only a model which we give as a complimentary pack. The audit firms are free to draft their own policies. Now, if we go into any one of them, like for example, employee retention policy, on the left-hand side, you can see the employee retention policy of the firm. So this was a policy document of the firm on the left-hand side. So employee engagement, feedback mechanism, inclusive workplace culture, roles and responsibilities of people. So like that, they can draft their employee retention policy. And in your opening remarks, you have made one word, how the firm had percolated the knowledge of the policy framework to everyone in the staff. In fact, there is a sign-off feature. Every person has to, as and when they are joined, they have to acknowledge this policy. Now, how do we draft this? So from review mode, you can change to edit mode. And in the edit mode, I can add one more policy. I can edit one more policy. So let us say I want to change the scope of this. So I can click on that and I can edit it so that it will become a new version of the policy. So that way, the all policy statements of the firm are accessible at one place. You can write your quality control procedures and policies or SOPs, whatever be the name they are called by, and the QC manual will be accessible at one place. That
Riteshji, can you please come on audio to clarify whether the webinar is going on or some kind of technical glitches there?
Yes, yes. Sorry, everyone. Just give us 1 minute. I think there is a small issue with the connectivity. Once we resolve that, we'll just continue. Just for 1 minute. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So there was some shift in the power. It switched the. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, we can see you. We can listen you.
Yeah. So sorry to all for that unexpected shift in the power. Yes, sir. So I'm
So,
continuing, sir.
You were telling about, you were demonstrating about quality control.
The quality control manual. Yeah. So I just take 2 moments backward and then say again. So this is how it enables to draft the quality control manual at one place. There are a lot of other features also, like if I go to any recruitment process, staff rotation policy or document retention policy, whatever be that. So there are a lot of assistance in drafting also. Like if I go to an edit mode, I need not draft it from the scratch. So what I can do is I can take the help of some predefined texts. Like if I take one predefined text, so that way what happens is it will be very easy for me to draft the manual also. And then once the manual is drafted, this manual is there on the left hand side. How it had been implemented, we can have a verification mechanism on this right hand side. Like for example, I take an policy of recruitment process. So as and when a new employee gets recruited or as and when a new article student is recruited, so this was the policy document we have on the left hand side. So we will ensure the same had been applied. So this, how can we do it is, I can select an appropriate checklist or questionnaire to ensure this policy on the recruitment policy. From the audit population, I will take my own users as an audit population and the new entrant, whoever is joining, let us say Bhagavan is joining. So him, I'll put it as a sample. So I'll create a new checklist, or rather I will use an existing checklist for that. So that what happens is, so for as and when a new employee gets recruited, like user Bhagwan had been recruited, for user Bhagwan, I have created a checklist. I have used a checklist, existing checklist, and some quality control staff in the firm are are now enabled to fill this checklist or questionnaire. Now you can see there are questions whether the firm's website is used or any professional networking is used to recruit. Does the firm participate in university recruitment program? Whatever be that policy that we have written, that we can ensure for this particular audit sample of Mr. Bhagwan being a user, and how the quality had been ensured. Like for example, we are taking the KYC documents in this particular example. So all of that also we can attach. So when peer reviewer comes, how the quality had been ensured, we can demonstrate it with not only at a policy document level, some sort of a document that this is our policy, but also the adherence of the policy can be demonstrated by an ongoing compliance of the policy. Okay, so that way it will be very easy for it is not to showcase to a reviewer. In fact, it builds the quality within the firm, which will have a lot of long and which have very long-term advantages to pay back to the firm. So hope I answered the question, sir. How the quality control manual can be written by the firm and how can it be made accessible to the reviewer is a question. Yeah, over to you. And any questions? Yeah, 1 second, sir. Any questions by the participants, they may put it in a chat box. So Nishant will be coordinating all of them, which we will be taking it at the end. So your participants are free to put their questions or any sort of insights in the chat box, please. Yes, sir. Go on. Go ahead, sir.
Siva sir, can you again go back to this quality control manual and please show whether we have the provision about engagement quality control reviewer?
Yeah, engagement quality control reviewer is there within each engagement, sir. Okay, so you're saying about EQCR, engagement quality control review. Okay.
So in the quality control manual, are we incorporating engagement quality control review policies also?
Yeah, we can add any policy, sir. Now, let me add it right away. So engagement quality control review policy. Now I am adding a new policy here under the operations of engagement performance. I'm adding a new policy, engagement. So now I have just had started a new policy. Engagement quality control review policy. Now, once I go into it, I'll go into the edit mode of the policy and I can start typing my policy. Okay. So policy number,
Okay.
policy date, version of the policy. So instead of typing it from the scratch, if I had a pre-written drafts, I can use any one of the drafts. I think I don't have any draft on this, but just as an example, I'm taking some draft. So once I take certain draft, so what happens is that draft becomes copied into it, which will save time on us for to tap it from the scratch. So that way I can create a policy. Now, once I save it, there is a whole policy that was drafted on the left-hand side. Okay. So from now on, this becomes a new policy. Engagement quality control review policy is being rolled out in the firm. Now, how do we ensure that? How do we ensure that? So as and when a new engagement is taken up, there is a scope button on the right hand side. So for a new engagement, I will take this and see the application of that. Like I can apply a checklist or a questionnaire for this. So I'm saying any new client as a sample for this. I am taking Saket as a new client. So within no time, I have created some policy. Of course, the content of the policy is not correct. Just for example, I have typed something. So I have created a policy, and on the right hand side, I can demonstrate the adherence to the policy. So in the adherence to the policy, I can take a checklist or approach or a questionnaire approach or a rating system approach. So that is how the firm is free. It is a platform. So whatever we have given certain 1550 policies for the firm to just adapt and then modify on their requirements. Apart from that, they are free to create any number of SOPs, any number of control mechanisms, any number of QC manuals on their own. Yes, sir.
Shiva sir, I can see one of the participants, Mr. Naveen Jain.
Huh.
If I am right, Naveen Jain ji is from KGCO. He's a good friend of mine also. I would request if Naveen Jain ji is listening me, then he may ask some questions because he has abundance of experience in statutory audits.
Yeah, sure, sir. More
Sir,
than
sir,
welcome.
good afternoon.
Very good afternoon, sir.
afternoon,
So
Naveen
your
ji.
presence really is a
Can
plus
you
for
please
us, sir.
switch
Thank
your
you.
camera so that I can see you at least?
Yeah, you can
Yes,
switch
sir.
on the camera, sir. Nishant, if required, please enable.
So Naveen Jain ji is, I should say, esteemed professional and a good friend of mine, and is having a plethora of experience in statutory audits.
Great. So thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for the participation. Yeah.
ये एनी ऑडिट का तो हमने पहले भी लिया था डेमो ना
हाँ.
बॉम्बे
Not
बॉम्बे दिया था शायद बॉम्बे टीम में इन्होंने दिया था
okay. We did it at World Congress and then at one event at BCAS and yeah, a few GloPack also.
So Shiva sir, in the presence
Yeah.
of Naveen ji, I am getting good moral support also, and that's the reason I would be asking much more fearless question now.
Okay. Great, sir. Welcome.
Thank
I'll
you,
do
sir.
my best.
Sir, the thing is, generally when we go as a peer reviewer, the peer reviewee generally feels this kind of a problem that he is not in a position to prepare a sheet UDIN wise. So the question is now, how can the list of UDIN and fees so generated be cross verified?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, sir. Question taken. Yeah. Again, I'll go back. So it's a comprehensive enterprise-wide solution. That is what I said. So there are multiple modules. One of the modules is UDIN module, bills module, fees module, quality control module, work allocation module, anomaly detection module, ratios and preparation of certain disclosures module. So like that, there are multiple modules. So now, just in the reports, I have just had stated a report. So there is one MIS report. Of course, how this MIS report is working is because there was a lot of structure behind the screens that is enabling. So I'm going to a report which is called Search UDINs. So this Search UDINs is a facility of searching all the UDINs that are generated by the firm in a given time, in a given period. So when we create a assignment, it insists us like what are all the UDINs that are required to be given. Like I'll select the service category as, is it a certification or an assurance? I'm taking assurance. And what is the type? I'm taking the type as corporate. So this is exactly as per the UDIN structure of ICAI. Now under which act I'm taking Companies Act 2013. So this search is allowing me to pull all the UDINs issued by the company, by the audit firm, which falls under these particular specific categories. Like it is under assurance, of corporate, under Companies Act. So if I search, I'll get a list of all the UDINs that are generated by the firm. Okay. Now from here, there is a login button, Pyro Limited. So if I can log in, I can log in into that particular assignment and I can see that. Okay. So how I'm now under reports. So how this report is working, because there is a comprehensive standalone UDIN module. So let me go through the UDIN module also, one step backward. So under the office management. So under the office management, these are all the various modules under office management. So UDIN module, revenue bills is one module. So I'm going into UDIN module. So this UDIN module is where, as and when we create an assignment, even before the UDIN is given, the system prompts us to mention what are all the UDINs that are likely to be issued under this assignment. Okay, so there are two steps. One, create a provision for UDIN. That we will do at the planning stage itself, even before the UDIN is given, so that we will have an ability to trace that this UDIN is going to be issued. And the second step is generate a UDIN. And the third step is add it into certain particular invoice. So you can see here, name of the client and UDIN type. So these are created in the first step. When the UDIN is given, the UDIN number and the UDIN date who had created the UDIN were mentioned, and whether it had been raised as an invoice. So this was, you can see item number 3 had gone into invoice number 63. Item number 5 had been captured into 66 invoice. So therefore, how many UDINs are yet to be generated? How many UDINs are generated and for which bill is pending? All of those kind of MIS reports are possible. Okay, and the search UDIN is an result of this module. As a result of this module, whereby the quality control team can search all the UDINs that are generated across the firm. So it is very helpful if there are multiple branches and the firm is a multidisciplinary, not into assurance, not into certification, but into everything, so that it will be very handy. So where we create a provision for UDIN. So I have to go one step backward again. So for that, let me take one assignment. So I'm going into select assignment. I'm taking one of the assignments. So there is a cost and revenue module. When an engagement is created, this forces us, as per auditing standards, this as per SQC as well. So this module helps us like who are all the team that are going to work and what is an expected time they are likely to invest. And at the bottom, what are all the UDINs that are likely to be generated or required. So this is even before an UDIN is given. Let us say we are doing statutory audit and tax audit and some GST certification and 2 or 3 net worth certifications, etc. So what we will do is we will create a provision for UDIN. It is not UDIN, it is a provision for UDIN. So I'll go to add. So I say the document type is under certificates. And what is the type of certificate? So it is like, let us say 15 CB. Okay, what is the fees? I may mention my fees or I'm just for skipping. So here I'm not generating UDIN, but I'm saying to the system that a UDIN is likely to come in future. Okay, so that way what happens is when an assignment is created under the cost and revenue, we will create the provision for generation of a UDIN. So anybody generating a UDIN can only answer this question. So no UDIN will get generated without the knowledge or concurrence of one particular entity, one particular quality control mechanism in the office. And when a UDIN is generated, automatically the UDIN numbers and all. Now, if I go into answering this, so here is where I will give the exact UDIN number generated by and certain important fields of that UDIN I can mention. So the end result of all of this is one, no UDIN can be generated without intimating it to the system. Two, every UDIN that is generated, there is a mechanism to ensure that it was charged for. Okay, you can club two UDINs, generate one bill. So one bill can have multiple UDINs and one UDIN can go into multiple bills. All of those are possible. And third, when it comes to peer review, so there is a search mechanism, which I have just had showcased under the report section. I can search all the UDINs, whether it is service wise, whether it is act wise, whether it is any otherwise. So I can go to search UDIN functionality and I can search any of the UDINs that are generated in a given time frame. So hope I answered the question, sir.
Sir, whether this tool flags as to whether the practice unit is peer reviewed or not, or is peer review applicable upon the firm or not. For example, Naveen Jainji put up the data into this tool, whether this tool will be flagging that your peer review cycle is over or your peer review is becoming applicable. Are you getting my question?
Yeah, I'm getting a question, sir. That facility is not there as of now. That facility is not there as of now, but there is a workaround for that. The workaround is like this. We have a checklist, questionnaire, decisions. So we have got 13 different kinds of audit tools, what we call them as audit procedures. So in one of the audit procedures, we can build that cyclicity. Okay, so that as per that cyclicity, it will keep flashing up. Okay, so that is one workaround. And another workaround is there is an expiry reminder feature in this. So let me go to the office management again. So in the office management, there is an expiry reminder feature. So anything that is getting expired, be it a password, be it a subscription, be it a membership fee or whatever. So this is there to remind. So we can use this feature as a workaround. And we can also use the feature of compliance calendar. Under the settings, we have a compliance calendar. Under this compliance calendar, we can mention what is a kind of a compliance and when it has to be complied and what is a periodicity. So here we can define the periodicity and falling under the group. So these two features can be used as a workaround, but an straight exact answer to that is, as of now, we have no such feature. Definitely will take lead from your question and then build it over time, sir.
And Siva sir, what are the exceptional reports any audit can bring to the table?
Yeah, these exceptional reports are in the hands of the audit firm. Okay, so these are in the hands of the audit firm. There is a querying mechanism because it is an ERP kind of a system. So whoever is raising an audit finding, they will do it in their audit findings module. So whoever is finalizing, they will do it in their finalization module. Whoever is drafting CARO or whoever is giving a report, they will do it under that. So what happens is everything can be brought to one umbrella. So let me take one assignment. So these are all the various exception reports that are generated by the system. So you can see there are about 35 various types of reports that the system generates. So the user need not generate. These are generated by the system on its own. Like for example, what are the adjusted and unadjusted misstatements in this audit? Okay. Again, this is not meant for peer reviewer. This is meant for the audit firm. But if they give access to the peer reviewer or they demonstrate it to the peer reviewer, it will be very easy for us to review. That is my whole concept. Now, I can search through all the adjusted and unadjusted misstatements. This is exactly as per SA 450. So what I can do is, where are all the overstatement of asset had happened? So what are all the audit findings where the audit firm had found certain overstatement of asset? So I can run through all of my audit notes. So it will run through all of audit notes and it is a filter of only those where there is an overstatement of asset. So similarly, if I change like what are all the 3613 disallowances that were found in the audit? Okay, all 3613 disallowances I can search. So this was built more like an MIS reporting tool to the auditor, just like how we do audit when they accept, like if we go for bank audit in Finacle, there will be certain exception reports. So those exception reports are for the ongoing quality of the bank. But if we as auditor get an access to that, it will be easy for us to execute. So similarly, there are about 35 various kinds of reports, like what are all the key audit paragraphs that are issued. So I can go to the type of audit conclusions and I can say what are all the matter of emphasis that have been used in this. So these are all only the matters of emphasis that are there. So similarly, what are all the disclaimers? So like that, in every area of the audit, there are certain MIS reports that are built for the purpose of the auditor for his self-review or self-check, because we cannot expect a partner to spend the same time as a junior is expected to spend. So he must have certain powerful features where he can run through all of them without actually taking up line by line or a page by page. So let us say search memos. So he can search all the memos, like which are all high ranking, which are complied and closed, or which are not complied but closed, which are pending for finalization, or which are made by certain person. So like that, various possibilities of reviewing the same audit notes is also possible. So that is what I am saying. If peer reviewer is taking a license of any audit and peer review is being marked as one of the audit assignments, then he will have a lot of power. Alternatively, if peer reviewer is allowed an access by the audit firm, then also a lot of things are possible. Apart from all of that, leave the peer review. As a self-review mechanism, it will help a lot. So automatically, it will be easy to handle the peer review as a whole concept to which the firms have to evolve naturally over time. Yes, sir. So that's it from our side on the exception reports.
And sir, whether it is complying only the accounting standards or Ind AS also. And for example, I should move a step ahead. I may have, as a practice unit, I may have some non-corporate clients as well. So how does it caters to AS compliant entities, Ind AS compliant entities, and AS compliant non-corporate entities?
Got it. Got it. Got it.
I would be particularly interested to see non-corporate entities.
Okay. Okay.
So like 15 CACB certifications are there. These are the certifications. Now,
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
I am the tax auditor of a non-corporate entity, then how any audit will help me in ensuring that non-corporate entity is also complying with the accounting standards?
Yeah, got it, sir. Now, here, that is more on audit execution side. The question falls more on the audit execution side. So in the audit execution side, when we open the planner, that is where the audit plan, audit charter has to be prepared. It need not be prepared manually. So they can borrow the relevant template for the purpose of the audit. So in the relevant template for the purpose of the audit, there are multiple templates like GST audit, internal audit, statutory audit, basic. So similarly, statutory audit under division 1, division 2. So like that, they can borrow the relevant template that has to be used for the purpose, like net worth certificate. Okay. So when we create a template for that, it will be used for either for Ind AS or for IGAP or for any other kind of an assignment. And not only for the assurance, as rightly said by you, it could also extend it to a non-assurance function, like for example, due diligence or a net worth certification. So if I say net worth certification, what happens is the whole of the steps that are there in the net worth certification will get borrowed into the engagement planner. Okay, and those steps will be performed while the assignment. I'm not using the word audit because it is a net worth certification. So it is more like an assignment. So that assignment can be rendered. So because the auditor is enabled to.
Can you show any one of the, like, can you press upon submit and let us see the output?
Yeah. What happens is there are a lot of steps in this. So the steps of net worth certificate will also get borrowed into this. So we may not appreciate that. For that, let me do a new assignment. Then it is possible to appreciate. Because a net worth certificate falls under a special purpose assignment, maybe SRE 2400 is applicable. So as per that, the report that is to be given will be prepared. It takes 2 minutes because I have to create a new job and then come here and then borrow. But I'll do that, no issue. Now I'm going into an assignment section. I'm creating a new assignment. Does this involve audit? I'm saying no. I'm selecting a client, Vihari Limited. So here I will select the engagement partner and I will also select the review partner. So that way I have created a new assignment. Once I step into this new assignment, so you can see only the basic, very basic steps like plan, team, setting, these kind of steps have come. Now the actual checklists that are going to be used for network certificate and all are not there. Now I am borrowing a template and I am borrowing the template called network certificate. So if I borrow the network certificate, all the steps that have been captured under the network certificate will get borrowed into the system. So once I submit it, the system will pull the checklist that is relevant for the network certificate and the report that has to be given thereof. Now you can see there is one engagement letter and there is one checklist for network certificate. So if I click on that, so I have not created any checklist for network certificate and all. I have just selected that audit program of network certification. So automatically the checklist had been borrowed. So once I go into that, all the steps that are to be done under issuance of a network certificate will be there. So identity of the entity, financial statements, verification of the accounting policy, asset verification, liability verification, non-recurring items, etc. So I'm saying at a very high level kind of a thing. So that way, whether it is a non-corporate or corporate, whether it is under Ind AS or AS, by selecting an appropriate template, the user will be able to perform any sort of an audit engagement. Now, let us say he is doing an Ind AS assignment. So he can select the suitable template like statutory audit under division 2. So once they select the statutory audit under division 2 and submit, so all of those steps that are relevant for Ind AS kind of audit will get borrowed into the engagement plan. The user need not spend time on creation of the engagement plan. One, the errors of commission and omission are avoided. And of course, if one or two items are exceptionally to be added or deleted, that kind of a flexibility is always there. This is a bulky template. It will take 2 minutes of time or 1 minute of time. So hope I answered your question, sir. Meanwhile, it will flash anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So after this display, can you please also guide us how any audit can help us in audit quality maturity model?
Yeah, sure. So audit quality maturity and digital competency. So both of us are already included in the quality control framework as such. Just a moment. This division 2 is a very bulky one. Yeah, it's done. So I'm going into the office and I'm going to this quality control. So in the quality control, there is an audit quality maturity model as one of the control framework items already listed. So when we click on that audit quality maturity model, the exact version that was given by institute as of now, so that is available for the user to be evaluated. Okay. So once the user answers them here itself by selecting an appropriate option, the scores will be created by the system for easy verification. So it will be very easy for us to submit to the peer reviewer also. Now AQMM had been made a part of the peer review, right? So it will be easy for us to measure it and then give it. Now, what is a proof of this? What is a proof of this? Now, let us say whether the practice unit had audit manuals in place or availability of the standard format relevant for quality. So here the user may be like letter of engagement, LOE and representation letter, whether they are in place or not. So user may select whatever the option that he wants, maybe the best option all times, but it is not sufficient or it is not the end of that. There is a facility for user to link it up with the other working papers. That was the key. Okay. Now what happens with this? The user will be in a position to evaluate their AQMM scores or DCMM scores on an ongoing basis. So you can see with the, of course, I am yet to fill all of them. With the 2 or 3 that I have filled, the scores are available. Okay. So we have built in not only the AQMM model, the DCMM model is also there. And not only this, if the user wants to create another sort of an rating mechanism for his own self, just in the as the guidance of AQMM, in the lines of AQMM, let us say I'm taking an assignment. So before I take an assignment, I want to evaluate the risk of that assignment. And I have developed my own rating mechanism. Like if solvency is there, if there was a merger or demerger, then this is my risk perception. So that way I can create my own rating mechanism and I can ensure that also. So there is a way where I can create my own rating mechanism in any audit. So that way, what happens is I can create my own rating mechanism and apply it over the relevant use case. AQMM and DCMM are the statutorily available models, so we have adapted them as it is. So similarly, there is under IT environment and adaptation of quality control, there is a digital competency maturity model, which if clicked, I can simply go to the DCMM model given by institute and I can fill it up. So does the firm had a domain name? Does the domain name had been as the domain name been registered? So all of these questions as per the DCMM model, they are there ready for ready evaluation. And when I am saying yes or no, so based on the answers, I will get my scoring readily available. So that way they can make a periodical check. They need not wait for the peer review cycle of 3 years or so. So they can be a periodical check by the firm as a self-regulatory mechanism also. So these kind of rating systems are already built into the system. Yes, sir.
Given the facts you have displayed, whether your tool would be also helpful for other reviews, like we have FRRB also, we have Quality Review Board also, we have NAFRA also.
Yeah. In fact, as I said, sir, it is not built around peer review. It is built like a quality control mechanism. The quality control mechanism is eventually helping us for peer review. Okay. So the questionnaire, the questions that are put, we have borrowed it for peer review. Otherwise, it is not cut out for peer review as such. It is a quality control mechanism. So step 1, draft your policy. Step 2, as and when that policy, there is a version change, you change the version so that it gets intimated across. Step 3, how do we implement this policy? Writing a policy, putting it in Word file or taking a printout and then sticking to the wall is an easy part. So how do we apply that? So there I can put it over, like if it is an employee policy, for every employee, I will apply that policy. If it is an client acceptance policy, for every new client, I will do that. If it is an independence policy, even for existing clients, I will do it on a periodical basis. So what any audit does is the policy that was written will be iterated over the relevant sample. That is what it is doing. So for QRB, maybe the mechanism will be different, but the model remains the same. Okay. What is to be picked up as a sample by peer review? When the peer review is applicable, maybe this the soft part of that, the content part of that may change, but by and large, it is the same machine that is applicable everywhere.
And Siva sir, how far your tool could be helpful for, there are certain entities which are sectoral entities, like we have banks, we have NBFCs, we have insurance companies, more particularly NBFCs, considering the RBI being active nowadays towards NBFCs. How far this tool could be helpful for audit as well as review of NBFCs?
Yeah. So for that, there is a settings where we have to set it up. So in the settings, we can create any sort of a template for the audit that we are going to undertake. Like, for example, it could be sectoral, like internal audit of automobile industry, internal audit of insurance. Okay. Similarly, it could be at an industry level, or it could be at a regulatory level. Like, for example, regulatory level, statutory audit division 1 and division 2. So they are at a regulatory level. So I can create my own set of templates also. Now, as a plug and play, we are right away giving the statutory audit, tax audit, and GST audits as a plug and play. Okay. But the informed users, they can create their own templates. As of now, we are not providing NBFC template as such, but they are free to create. Like for example, I'm going to create a new program by name NBFC. So now I am creating a new audit program. This audit program I can use as and when or every time I'll get a new NBFC. So once I go into that, I have to draft the, I'm just creating a model now. So under the audit of NBFC, I can pull all the relevant checklists, questionnaires, drafts, modules, reports that I will be using. So I have to add one by one. Like for example, under checklist, I can add all the checklists, but I think I'm not having any NBFC checklists as of now. So therefore they may not be available. Okay. So for here, I'm having a lot of checklists. From that, I can take one of them. So just for example, I'm taking a few from accounting standards, but of course, not a good example. So how I'm able to link it up? Because they are created already in the system. So if you create your own checklists, questionnaires, and the other reporting framework for NBFC, then you can consolidate, assort them all, and create your own template. Okay, so that the user can do. But whether any audit is providing the audit mechanism of NBFC as an inbuilt knowledge or know-how, as of now, no. But we will soon, we are linking up with subject matter experts and we are building more and more templates. So it is like this, sir. An advanced firm can build their own template. When any audit give a template, it is like a plug and play. They can start using it right away. Okay. So whether any audit gives it or not is not going to stop it, but it is only a facilitating. All said and done, as matters stand today, we are not providing any ready-made template on audit of NBFC. Surely going forward, we will provide that also.
But can
already one firm who is very deep into bank audits have created their own insurance and banking framework. Sorry, NBFC framework, and they are using on their own. But that is proprietary content. That the property, the intellectual property belongs to that particular firm. Okay. So we are actively looking for subject matter experts to link up with and then release those kind of templates as well.
So if I have my own checklist in my laptop,
Hmm.
can I import that checklist into any audit and use further?
Exactly. That is the whole idea of any audit. The whole idea of any audit is that, sir. So you can define the mechanism, the checklist, questionnaire, report, annexures, decisions, the statutory reports to be given at the end, and you can wire them up together and you can create your own workflow mechanisms. That is the whole concept of any audit. So can we use it for US GAAP? The answer is yes. Can we use it in regulatory insurance framework? The answer is yes. But because it is difficult for SMPs, small and medium practitioners, we are creating the plain vanillas like corporate audit, division 1 and division 2. So that we are creating and giving only as an enabler. Only as an enabler. So two are different. The machine is independent and the content is independent. So content, we are giving two contents now. Statutory audit division 1 and division 2. Only two contents we are giving, including LODR we are giving. So only those two we are giving. Apart from that, advanced firms are not advanced firms also. Let us say somebody is deep into stock and receivables audit. So can they tweak any audit to stock and receivables audit? The answer is yes.
Like
Yeah.
Naveen Jainji is doing a lot of work for listed companies, and he wished to know whether insider norms are being violated or not during the course of review. So can he import a checklist of insider norms into any audit?
Right away. If you can share that, we will upload it right away. We can
That will be the
demonstrate.
IPR of Naveen Jainji. You can contact Naveen Jainji.
Yeah. I'm just putting it on a lighter note. I'm putting it on a lighter note, sir.
And Siva sir, whether your tool, sorry for this question, but I have to ask whether your tool is having any kind of accreditation or affiliation with any regulatory body.
Sir, of course, yes, sir. But I'm not very sure. Can I say it in this forum or not? So on the side of security, definitely I can say we are ISO certified and we have been accredited. I'm not very sure. Maybe within 1 week of time we can put that also. So I have to check for that. Otherwise, yes, we have.
So from my side, these are the only questions. Maybe the audience could ask you some more questions on practical side. But the questions which I asked from you were from reviewer side primarily.
Yeah.
I can see
Yes.
also.
That was
Namaskar, Varun Taneja ji.
Namaskar ji. Yes, sir. I can also see Varun Taneja ji.
Varun ji,
Welcome, sir.
you are muted. You are muted. वरुण जी आप म्यूट पर हो, अनम्यूट कर लीजिए।
So still you're on mute, sir. We couldn't hear you. Let me check if I can unmute. No, sir. Sir, kindly put the kindly click on unmute yourself and then please go ahead, sir. Nishant, can you help on this?
Yeah, I have enabled the mics for everyone, but just
Yeah.
let me check with that.
Yeah. So the mics have been enabled, sir. Varunji, can you please unmute yourself? Please check the settings. We are not able to hear you, sir. Sorry for that. Can you type if not? Yeah. So any of the questions from any of the firms can kindly you can put it on Q&A or you can unmute yourself and then the floor is open. So you can raise questions. So if it is on technology side, I'll be able to take it up, and if it is on peer review or technicality side of the peer review, Kamal Garg ji will help on that. And Nishant, please go through the question answers and kindly bring them to the attention of Kamal ji.
Sure.
Yeah. So I could see
So
one
we-
question. We are a small firm, whether the tool is appropriate for us. Absolutely, yes, sir. Absolutely, yes. There is no big and small. In fact, peer review is peer review and the requirements are the same. Okay. So definitely it is helpful. Only thing is, any sort of a quality is a conscious attempt that we have to bring it. And quality is not a last minute call. It is rather it has to be throughout the process. Only thing is that. So what happens? It may be a little kind of an requirement to start with, but once you internalize it and put it as a part of the practice, then it will be very, very seamless. Yeah.
Question by Akhilesh ji.
Yeah,
Does this
Varun ji, maybe you have unmuted, but your volume is quite low. Maybe that is also possible. Can you type if you don't mind? Or shall we share our number? You can call on that and we will link that audio to here. Nishant, please share your number so that Varun ji can talk over phone and we can take that audio.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions, sir, from the participants?
So I think Varun Taneja sir has just dropped his question there. If some firm is having its own software, can we import data from that software for peer review?
Yeah, we can do that, sir. The only thing is, it is pulling the exception reports from an ongoing data. So when the data is not ongoing, like it is pulling the engagement letters from all the assignments. It is pulling the independence confirmation from all the assignments. The whole idea, it is like an ongoing. So we are performing our audit through any audit. So because we are doing that, so any memo, any finding, we are recording it over there. So they are now available for access. Okay. Now, if that streaming data is not there, what can be accessed? That is a problem. Okay. And you cannot have a dump of a data in any software that exactly suits this what you call the structure. theoretically, if it is possible that the structure is matching, then your answer is yes. Okay. But what we suggest is this software is meant for an real-time ongoing usage. Like I am reporting to you and I have an audit finding, I will record it. So it comes to you and you give your consequential action, like put it in Caro or put it in permanent file or expand the course or increase the reduce the materiality. So you are recording your finding over there because all of us sitting in the office are using one particular ERP kind of a thing. What happens is as a consequential result, the peer review is happening. Okay. So theoretically, if the data is available as a dump, the answer is yes, sir. And kindly drop in your phone number also. Mr. Nishant will be in touch and we can take the question offline also and we can dwell deep into that also, sir. Yeah. Naveen ji, any insights from your side?
Sir, as such, no insight, but there is some practical issue while using with this type of software that the trial balance we are extracting from the client, whether it is in SAP or Tally, that not fit in this kind of software. For planning purpose, for execution purpose, we have to mold our trial balance in your format.
There is no format here, sir. It's a very simple format: opening balance, closing balance, GL name, and the FSS it will go to. Okay. So what we suggest to that case is bring it down to Excel. That is the easiest format. Okay. So what happens? Let us say if you take Tally. Okay. The DR could be in text mode, but it is not attached to the number. So those problems will be there. So what we are saying is for Tally, there is a plugin. For all other softwares, what we suggest is bring it down to Excel because Excel is the most common denominator of information interchange. And from Excel, we can do it. From Excel, we will be able to upload any data. We have active usage also, then we can demonstrate it. So if you have any concerns on that specifically, maybe that it could be data issue. Okay. What happens is in the data, let us say there could be certain missing rows. Or if you download it from Tally, the date will not repeat. Okay. So 1-4, after that, let us say third 4 is a date of transaction. The date column will not get repeated. So if there is some problem in the data that was taken as a dump from the software, it could be a problem. So it is more like handling data. Okay. Anyway, our team will touch base with you. If there is any specific problem, we can look into it and solve. Not an issue at all.
Okay.
So there was a question pointed to you, sir, Kamal Garg. Bank borrowings 50 crores is a limit. Whether including non-fund based like BG and LC or only fund based is the question.
Only fund based, only fund based.
Yeah, it is an active
But
borrowing.
yes,
That's it.
but one thing is very much important: when this non-fund facility will be crystallized into a fund-based facility, then it will be included. So invoked bank guarantees will be included basically.
Yeah, yeah. So hope that answers your question. Yeah.
So we do have another question from Varun Taneja, sir.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about data security with regard to peer review, as we are not allowed to take the firm being peer reviewed data?
Yeah, in fact, I have pointed that, sir, the access to peer reviewer or the access to anybody is not absolute. So whether to give access or to revoke access is within your hands. Okay. And the peer reviewer, we are guided by confidentiality, non-disclosure and all. Whether with technology or without technology, we are anyway are bound to expose it to the peer reviewer. And the peer reviewer is also from the same fraternity, bound by the same ICAI rules and by same confidentiality and non-disclosure. So the same things apply. In fact, you can share to the peer reviewer in a more granular form if it is with technology than in an ad hoc form in a conventional system. In fact, you have much choice on what to share and what not to share. So I have seen, though the list of management representation letters are appearing, the click is not working on everything because you have allowed only to certain assignments. Okay. So only to the assignments that are selected as a sample by the peer reviewer, you can give a very pinpointed access, and that too once the peer review is done and you are revoking the access at one step, you're certainly sure that the access had been withdrawn everywhere. Okay, maybe that kind of a comfort is not there when you share it offline in a physical form, or maybe the Google Drive access and all. So that the copy of the vulnerability of copying is more there. Okay, and another point is here we are sharing the data in only one particular format, that is PDF. Okay, so the exact soft copy is not being shared. The editable soft copy is not being shared. That is another advantage. Okay, anyway, there is no point of not sharing data with the reviewer because the whole purpose is to allow the access to him and get it reviewed. Yeah.
So we have another question from Nagarajan, sir. So is there any online or real-time support?
Yeah, both are there. Both are there. There are service teams for us, for you to guide, sir. And apart from that, my screen is visible, right, Nishant? Please confirm.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. In every screen on the bottom left-hand side, there is a bubble. So this bubble is for customer support and help. So you can type the help whatever you want, like how to. So the local help is available, how to perform stratified random sampling. If you are clicking on that, so the guidance is available and play video is also available. So that is one offline online continuous training. And if you have any concerns, there is a raise a ticket. So where you can type your grievance over here and you can submit it. It will straight away hit the customer support team. So that way, for your self discovery, there is a help. And if you want to reach out, there is a raise a ticket. And this screen is a common screen in any wherever you go. This is a standard framework. So therefore, it will be very handy and the support teams are active and you can reach out. I hope I answered your question.
ना मुझे घड़ियाल अंदर रखीला था.
So you're saying something, sir? Dharmesh ji? Yeah. So if there are no more questions, so I take advantage and I'll pose one question to Kamal ji.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please go ahead, sir.
So still the peer review is being viewed by the fraternity as one of the statutory requirements. So if you are not going to get peer reviewed, you are not going to get audits. Okay. So what you could suggest, or what are your thoughts of the value add that the peer review will give to the firms on a long-term basis? So rather than viewing it as a statutory compliance, it's an inevitable and indispensable compliance. So how is it going to add value? What are your insights?
Sir,
In your
if I-
real life experience, you are hand holding lot of firms. I know that.
I would, to be very blunt and without being diplomatic, if I say everything being straightforward, no audit can be done properly if there will be no statutory backing to it. And more importantly, when it comes to independence, the problem is, especially in corporate entities, auditor is called to be independent for that very client who himself is providing the fees to the client, fees to the auditor. So if Naveen ji is appointing me as an auditor and Naveen ji expects me to be independent to pull his ears, how these things are wrong. So, the quality itself is compromised on the very day of accepting the audit. To overcome this thing, because independence is more a state of a mind. To overcome this thing, I would not say independence will not be compromised. Independence is bound to be compromised, but yes, the mitigation factors can be brought into picture, so that if I say independence is 100% compromised, maybe I can say at a later stage, independence is 1% compromised. So to bring in that 99%, these auditing standards, these guidance note could be helpful. Now you use the word regulatory actions. It is not only about the peer review or QRB or NAFRA as a matter of regulatory action. As on date, even ROC is active. You may see in recent past, ROC is also issuing adjudication orders against the auditors. So to save themselves from these kind of things, regulatory actions are quite inherent when you become the auditor. And for that very matter, you cannot survive without regulatory actions. But yes, you can sustain along with the regulatory actions only when you have a good documentation. When I say good documentation, I'm not saying foolproof documentation. But this good documentation, the thing is, so much of information is there, so much of adherence requirements are there, everything cannot be in mind. We are not writing CA final paper that everything must be mugged up and 16 mass questions are over. So for that very thing, we need some kind of facilitation mechanism. Now,
Okay.
this facilitation mechanism could be a tool like yours, or maybe for that matter, the tools which firms are using. So to answer in a very single sentence, blunt way, regulatory actions are inherent to any kind of audit, and maybe any audit can help in mitigating the aftermaths of becoming the auditors. So Varunji smiling, I believe I hit the rock by saying the things in blunt. But that is a bitter fact, and we need to accept it. Things cannot be in a tight compartment, like no flexibilities are there. But yes, in Hindi there is a saying, aate mein namak. So we can have a bit of salt in the whole duff, but we cannot survive without the regulatory thing.
True, sir. True. And there is a question posed to you, sir. Can a newly registered PU accepting audits, get itself peer reviewed in the first year itself? I think it
That
is
is
more like
permissible.
voluntary peer review.
It's more like a
Yes.
voluntary peer review, and more importantly, if you are a new firm and say, for instance, you got the statutory audit. I should not say statutory audit per se. You got a statutory audit of a private company which is listed abroad. In such a case, it's a mandatory requirement upon you that you must have yourself peer reviewed.
Yeah.
So,
And
I
you
believe
continue. Yes, sir.
see,
New
sir,
unit
when
is not considered
government,
for peer reviewing. So he says that maybe it is not being considered by the peer reviewer to be taken up.
so that could be the peer review's wisdom if he is not picking up that way. But yes, if you apply to peer review board would be rather much more happy to engage some peer reviewers for the purpose of your unit being peer reviewed. So voluntary peer review is always permissible, and you can apply to peer review board, and then obviously the process will start.
Yeah, great. And one more input from my side. So there are certain questions on implementation and training. Of course, any new thing requires a training and a hand holding. And we have to put in certain time, invest certain time to master that. And it is not an everyday routine so far. So the everyday routine so far for the auditor is like to audit it and then write or scribble out their findings somewhere. Okay. So then how to create a finding, how to escalate it, how to use that, definitely it takes time. And we can understand the timelines the auditors will run through. Okay, so every 3 months there is a new deadline for the audit community. And because of that, to take out certain time and to master some sort of a new software may be difficult. But then if we are able to do that, definitely it will give lot of long-term benefits. And we have an ongoing implementation and training programs. Okay, so it is like a batch that is continuing. It will run for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks are like 10 sessions. You can join in any one of them and have it over 10 days. So that if you can join, or you can let your team, staff, or peers join, so that when they are trained and then they haven't developed their own sort of what you call that the ease of doing it, then definitely it will be very seamless. Yeah. I think now Kamalji had already answered that. We are 3 partners. See whether peer review is required or not required, and then it's mandatorily required or not. There is a voluntary peer review which you can definitely, if you are volunteering, forthcoming, and then want to get yourself peer reviewed, that is a welcome feature. So you can write to the peer review board and then get it. That is not a problem. Yeah, that is what sir had already said. Right, sir. Nishant, can you offer the closing remarks and then?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Before that, I offer my sincere thanks, sir, Kamalji, and also Varun ji and Naveen ji to open up your cameras and then give a sense of satisfaction for us also. Okay, so thanks from the bottom of the heart. Kamal, you have been a source of strength for us to putting us important questions and then helping out the profession in multiple ways. So as Nishant had pointed out, the content that you are sharing at various forum is definitely very, very helpful for the profession. Apart from the books that are being authored. Okay, so books are like voluminous. Apart from that, the tidbits that you are giving it, the shorter form of that is also very, very quite useful. So thanks a lot for that, and so wish you all the very, very best, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Nishant.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. A special thanks to Kamal Garg sir for leading an insightful session and posing such thought-provoking questions to us on peer review readiness. Your expertise and perspectives have been incredibly invaluable. And we also thank Shiva sir for showing us the capabilities of any audit and answering it in a great manner. And we hope this session has provided you with useful insights for all the participants, and it can enhance your peer review readiness, the process and all. So thank you once again for your participation.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Namaste.